Welcome in, fans, to a special New Year's edition of the Two Line Pass podcast. I'm your host, Randon. Here with me, my best buddy, Dustin. Dustin, we just watched the Utah Hockey Club. Not the greatest efforts. They got beat pretty bad by the Edmonton Oilers. That's now 5 losses in a row. Dustin, I feel like every time we start an episode, we're either high on the hog or we're in the lowest of lows. My friend, it's how's it going for you?
It's either hot or it's cold. There's no in between. I don't think we've ever started an episode where it's like, yeah, we feel kind of good. You know, we're 2-2 over the last 4. It's just we're either on a streak, a winning streak, or a losing streak. But either way, it's a streak, and we're either really hot or we're really cold. I think tonight, I think overall for minus a 20-second chunk, the team played really well, and they had their opportunities. They just didn't capitalize. I know we'll probably go into it a little bit more, but Sergachev hit the pipe twice. Michelli had a wide open net that he just sailed the puck over the top of. So like the opportunities were there, and they played well outside of just that 20-second clip where Edmonton took the score from 1-1 to 3-1 and just never recovered. I know the final was 4-1, but Draisaitl just putting in an empty netter when Utah's pulled their goalie in desperation time. I mean, you're not really going to count that against the defense. So in my mind, it's basically a 3-1 loss. And for the most part, for what would that be, 59 minutes and 40 seconds, the team played really well. They had their opportunities, didn't capitalize, and it seems like that happens a lot to Utah, where they play really, really well, and then there's just like a 30 or 40 second stretch where everything goes to hell and the game just slips away. And I guess with a team that is not young necessarily, they're not one of the youngest teams in the league, but there's a lot of new pieces that have been playing together for too long. I guess it's to be expected. What can you say? A loss is a loss is a loss. So, and we've lost quite a few in a row.
Yes, and this is a team that is familiar with long losing streaks. What was it last season? It was like 15 in a row at about this same time in the year, which isn't what you want to do going into the new year. This is something, I think what's so demoralizing about this particular losing streak is that the positive momentum, the fan interaction, and everybody, we're so ready for this team to turn the corner and not be still in rebuild mode. And that's kind of been a theme all year of talking about whether or not this team is ready to take the next step and be a true playoff contender. And we've seen the team that is, right? There is a team. The Utah Hockey Club has a team that it puts on the ice that is capable of making and competing in the playoffs. And then there is the other Utah Hockey Club that has no business playing contenders and even sniffing a playoff spot. And that's kind of where we're at, this Jekyll and Hyde of this team where they can't seem to put it together for long stretches. And I think that at least some of my frustration, and I'm seeing some of the fan frustrations, is that lack of consistency, or that, like, when you're in a rebuild, right, and you're building towards these things, like, you don't need to see constant streaks, and you're never going to be at the top of the division, but what you want to see is improvement over the course of the season, right? That's the development that you're hoping to see when you're selling the idea that you're a young team that just needs development, right? If that's the case, we want to see development over, and we see a lot of regression, it seems. Now, in good news, the regression seems to be coming from some of the veterans, the veterans, and not some of our young guys, but they are maybe the anchor that's weighing this team down. And I'll just say the elephant in the room. I'm looking at you, third line. But yeah, in today's game or yesterday's game, it was, you had Clayton Keller who's not injured, but sick. Doesn't play, so Liam O'Brien finally gets his shot, not at home, which is kind of upsetting, but whatever. And they move Michelli up to the first line. Liam O'Brien comes into the third line, and for that first period kind of sets a tone, right? Sets a spark where, again, that's the Utah hockey team in the first period that we see, that we love to see. Keeps it close. Very few times have we seen the first and the third period team show up in the second period, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. I think you bring up the fact that Keller didn't play. I think that if this is a game that if you were looking objectively before the puck even dropped, and you have Stauber in net, and Keller's not playing, and this is Edmonton, they're, I think, second in their division, and they're top 5 in the conference. They're on I think they lost like 3 straight, but one of them was in overtime. Before that, they'd won like 5-6 games in a row. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Like, this is a good Edmonton team, and you look at that, you're on the road, you don't have your captain, your points leader, you don't have your goalie, you're playing a goalie who should be in the AHL, who's only here because Connor Ingram is injured. And it's a game that, as you're looking at it from the outside looking in, if you're being objective, it's a game that Utah's probably going to lose. If you're looking for a positive to take away from this, it's that the team, like I said, outside of those 20 seconds, they did play really well. They generated a lot of chances. Somehow, Skinner turned into the Bobrovsky. Like, apparently he learned something in the Cup Finals last year, because he stopped everything. I don't know the shot from Matthias Michelli that went over the crossbar. It almost looked like before it all slipped away. So there are some bright sides, but when you're a team like Utah that's on the fringe of competing for the playoffs, and that's where they're going to be, you stop looking for bright sides and you start looking for wins. Like last year, Arizona, they want bright sides. Like, they're building a team. They have a lot of young players. They're putting together a roster that they hope that can compete in a year or two. So you're looking for bright sides. Now that you're on that playoff fringe, you're looking for wins and not bright sides. So it is a little frustrating just to look at the standings. Like, it was just like before the Dallas game, we were talking about how we were like 2 points back of Dallas. Now we are 7 points back of Dallas. Like, we're slipping and they're pulling away. But the good news is we do have some games coming up in the near future against teams that we need to steal points from to be able to climb that ladder. So if Utah's able to right this ship, they can make up a lot of ground here really quickly.
Yeah, and they're going to need to. We are absolutely on the outside looking in of the playoffs, and we knew that, like, right? So I don't want to be all doom and gloom, because I think all three of us, me, you, and Ryan, had the expectation that if this team made the playoffs, they were going to sneak in as the second wild card or the first wild card, right? Like, that was the expectation. And I think maybe I've allowed myself to get too excited at the bright spots of this team and maybe focusing too much on the negative. But now it does seem that that even that second wild card spot just is slipping away and away and away. And if we do the same thing what we've historically done, and we do the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or worse, the 1 step forward, 2 steps back, we're not gonna get there. We won't even be close. And then we're sitting another season where we're at 79, 80 points, and you're like, is that good enough improvement? Is that what you want to see? And I don't know. It's just like, but like you said, like this next stretch, and in January, I think, is it January, we have an 8-game homestand, which unfortunately we are actually better on the road than we are at home. But maybe we can channel some of that early season, magic where we do play better at the Delta Center. I know the environment at the Delta Center is awesome, and we've played close games at the Delta Center, but for whatever reason, we just haven't been able to put it together. And unfortunately, against Edmonton on the tail end of a back-to-back, end the year not so great. But trying to look ahead to 2025, we can maybe try to find some bright spots. We've got Connor Ingram, who now is on a conditioning loan in the AHL. So we know our goalie situation is going to stay as a Veggie Stauber 1-2 going forward for at least, I would assume, for at least 2 to 3 more weeks before Ingram is ready to come back. And then once he does, that will be interesting to see if he immediately gets the start, or does Veggie continue to get the starts and then Ingram comes in as the relief in the Stauber role. Dustin, do you, based on what you've seen of Veggie, who is my surprise player of the year, do you think Veggie has done enough in these last few months to solidify, without a doubt, he's number one, even when Ingram comes back and gets healthy?
100%. Right now, Veggie is statistically a top 5, top 6, top 7 goalie in the NHL. That's how well he's playing right now. You can't, I know a lot of times in sports people like to say you don't lose your job due to injury, but this isn't Connor Ingram losing his job due to injury. This is Veggie taking it with how well he plays. And we were talking about this even before the Ingram injury, that Veggie's playing better than Ingram. So I really hope, and a lot of the things that I've said the Bears should do, he's done, including tonight. I want to point out, hire me for something. I don't even care what it is. But he's doing the things that I tell him to do, so I'm just going to say it again. Make Veggie your top line goalie and bring Ingram in. It's nice to have Ingram instead of Stauber. You know he's going to give you more. You know he's going to protect the net more. You know he's going to give up fewer goals than Stauber is, despite the fact that Stauber has the only shutout in Utah Hockey Club history. But yes, you absolutely need to stick with Veggie when Connor Ingram makes his way back.
I agree with you 100%. I just hope that Coach does as well. I'm confident that he's seen enough, but then he does some silly things. The coach likes to do some silly things now. The constant line shuffle is pretty much done, at least we think, and that has solidified. But those rocky, towards the end of October and into November, when he seemed to be changing lines every other game, it really made me think that maybe he doesn't have a plan and doesn't have a thing. And I was even talking with my wife about if let's say whatever happens and they fire Andre Trigny, does he coach another NHL team? And I'm not so sure that he does. I don't see where he would immediately be picked up. We'll see. Like, we've got him, and I think at the very least, the GM, for what it's worth, really believes in Andre, and that's his guy. And we'll see if Coach T has what it takes to do it. But if they continue to go on these losing streaks now, this is the 4th year Torigny's been at the helm of a team that, for the most part, this is the team he's coached, right? They haven't been constantly adding new pieces. He's got a bunch of young guys that he's coaching. Like, this is the style of team that he was given, that they're hoping that he can develop. And the question you have to ask is, going into 2025, is, have you seen enough development? And I'll tell you this, if we end this season with 79 or 80 points, no, I haven't seen enough development. And then if he goes back to Ingram, instead of letting Veggie continue to carry this team, then I'll say, I will completely ask if he has a read on this team, if he knows actually what he wants out of the team, or is he constantly in this, we're a rebuilding team, I can do whatever I want because it really doesn't matter, win, lose, or draw, because we're a rebuilding team. Like, eventually you have to stop. You have to take account. You, coach, has to take accountability for the team's attitude and mental preparedness, because yes, the coach cannot get out there on the ice, but the coach's responsibility is getting the guys up to play the game, drawing up the game plan, and making sure that the players play towards the game plan. And I think the frustrations that I'm feeling and a few other fans are feeling is maybe that this coach isn't the one to do it. And in the NHL, coaches get fired. We've already seen 4 coaches fired before the halfway mark of the season. I think the NHL is one of the most fire the coach happy leagues, and maybe Torigny has a free pass, but we'll see long term what happens. But I don't know. I don't want to blame the coach because that seems like a cop-out, but I'm kind of blaming the coach for the downs this season.
And I will give him a small benefit of the doubt. I mean, you mentioned, he's been with this club. He's been the coach of this team for 4 years now, and he's had the ability to build them into something. But this is the first year that he's actually had the support and financial backing of the front office and ownership. This is the first time he's actually had a crowd that can be behind his team. This is the first time he's had an owner that's going to go out and spend money. This is the first time that he's had a front office that is okay, we'll go get you Ian Cole. We'll go get you Sergachev. When you lose Dursey, we're going to go get you Olli Mata. This is the first time he's had a front office is okay, we're going to give you the tools that you need to build this into a contender. Now go do it. So we're not even to the midway point of really his first year of having the support that he needs to build this into something. Before it was just, here's your roster, good luck. Like, go play in this college barn that houses 4,000 fans, and good luck. Best of luck to you. We hope it works out. I don't give a shit. This is the first time that he's actually had the backing that he needs, so I will give him like a little benefit of the doubt that he hasn't really truthfully been building this team for 4 years. He's just kind of been steering a rudderless ship for 4 years, or at least the previous 3 years before this one. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt, and the things that we've mentioned that we want to see him building towards, like figure out your lines. He has, and he hasn't tinkered with them. Like, the top 2 lines are good. We have the best 4th line in the league, like we've said multiple times. And the third line, is just, it's dragging a little bit. It's not able to find its groove, but he's not tinkering with other lines to try and make that work. He's just telling them, like, guys, you got to figure this out. And so he's not tinkering with that. I am curious to see how he handles it when Connor Ingram comes back, but I do have faith in him that he'll make the right decision. And who knows, maybe the front office says, hey, we pay Veggie more, so play Veggie. Maybe they just take the decision completely out of his hands and say, play the goalie that we're paying. But yeah, I will give him the small benefit of the doubt just due to the fact that he actually has what he needs to succeed now.
All right, well, let's turn our attention to one thing that has caused, I think, a lot of strife, a lot of chatter on Twitter, and that is the third line and its complete ineptitude. And we've seen obviously Nick Schmaltz has gone through a cold spell. Barrett Hayton maybe hasn't had the points production that you'd expect from a first line center. There's been a lot of individual guys that maybe sometimes haven't been putting it together. But overall, we don't have a single line that is as unproductive as the third line has been. All of Nick Schmaltz's lack of goals, he was carrying in the assists category, and he's still up in the top 5 in points because of his assists. Plus, he was incredible, in my opinion, on the defensive end and kind of made up for his lack of goal scoring. However, Lawson Krause, Nick Bjugstad, and Matthias Michelli, I feel, are not compensating enough in the defensive realm. All of them, they're -8, -8, -10 in their plus minus. And I think, let's see, Bjugstad has 9 points. Lawson Krause has 7 points, and Matthias Michelli has 10 points. Like, not enough, just not enough. And your third line, right, not there to outscore your first line. But you got to give him, I don't know what you got to do. Maybe you bench one of the 3, you put in O'Brien, and you tell O'Brien to go fight somebody if the game's getting out of hand. He hasn't even been able to do what he's on the ice to do. He tried.
He wanted to tonight. He wanted to tonight. He got in one little scuffle, and he started the third period in the box. And there was a moment, I believe, in the second period where he and I cannot remember the Oiler that it was, but both of them kind of threw their sticks down like they were gonna go at it. And then the Oiler just like, oh, that's O'Brien, I'm not doing that, and he kind of ducked away from it. O'Brien definitely wants to fight, and he played with passion tonight. I don't know if that's what the third line needs, but something's got to change. I believe that the three of them, in Michelli, Carcone, and Krause, they have 10 goals scored between the 3 of them on the season. That's not enough. Like, Michelli seems to do, which is a big problem that I've had with the whole team, is they try to do the Ted Lasso thing and make the extra pass. Make the pass instead of put the puck on the net, which is what I love about our fourth line. They just put the puck on the net and they score with rebounds. They just put pucks on nets and good things happen. We've said it 1,000 times on this podcast. But that third line just seems they all want to make the extra pass. And Michelli is so skilled with his stick. He is so skilled at controlling the puck. It just seems like he's trying to do maybe too much because of how skilled he is with his stick. Just put the puck on the net and good things are going to happen. Like you said, I don't know what the answer is. Maybe it is just take one of them off the ice and make them a healthy scratch and put O'Brien in and see if his energy, if his juice can add something to it. But the third line, just don't pull from other lines to fix the third line. Leave the other 3 lines as they are. Like, 75% of the team is perfect as it is. leave them alone, find another way. I don't know what you have to do, but just find a way to make it work with those three, or taking players, or make a trade. I don't know what the answer is, but don't mess with the other three lines. I'm begging you.
No, absolutely. I will tell you, there's one way you would mess with the three lines, and that is if you make some sort of. Now, here's the thing: I don't know what the trade looks like. I haven't gone and actually looked at it. Without trading Keller away, if you can get a true first line center wherever they may be, and then you can move Barrett Hayton down to the third line, and you can kind of do it that way. But as is, you're absolutely right. You cannot tinker with the lines to make the third line work, with the exception of pulling in guys. So when Bukestad was out, you had Kyler Yamamoto, you had Josh Doan, both getting time in those third, fourth lines, kind of when everything was in flux. But then once Bukestad came back, and once McBain officially jumped and joined Logan Cooley and Gunther as like the solid solidified, that's the second line. So then you see Krause, Michelli, and Bukestad playing together. Now, here's the problem with their production. It's not just that the third line is not producing. It's that all three of those guys are on power play 2. They're on power play unit 2. And power play unit 2 has done not good at, like, just shit. They're shit, right? 2 goals all season. That doesn't include a power play unit that's Nick Schmaltz, Clayton Keller, and Dylan Gunther, right? They account for 21 of the 23 goals. Let's see. So 19, 20, 23 power play goals, according to Dauber's Frozen Tools, 23 power play goals, and only 2 of them come from somebody, a forward line that's not Nick Schmaltz, Dylan Gunther, and Logan Cooley. So it's not just that the third line is not good. They're not good in positions that they should be good at. It's positions that they should be scoring in. Of course, the power play unit number 1 gets the majority of the power play minutes, but you're still looking at a 30-second shift for power play unit 2 that they just don't do anything with that they should. And they're just not being productive enough on the special teams side or on their regular side, and they have shown to be a defensive liability more often than not. They just don't have the same doggedness in defense as they do. I don't know if it's that Lawson, Krause, and Bukestad have lost a step. They're probably the 3 slowest on the team in terms of minus the fourth line, but you wouldn't know it because of how powerful and like good our fourth line has played. But I just, you expect more out of them. And you're right, maybe a trade comes in, you get somebody to put up with Schmaltz and Keller up there. Hayton comes down. Now, Hayton and Michelli can play together, and you put somebody that's young and fast with them. And I'm not saying, take everybody to the woodshed, but remember we talked about defensemen being old. Bortuzzo's now, he's injured. He's on the IR, so he's done for. I hope that they continue to roll with Kolyachonok, because it's kind of, Coach benches Cooley for the 5 minutes, right? To send a message to his young guy, right? To hold him accountable, right? Coach Turigny's going to hold his players accountable. Where the hell was the accountability when Maverick Lamoureux was in the box 3 times a game? You continued to send him out over and over and over. He's still second on the team in penalty minutes. By gosh. He's still second in the team.
He just played 15 games.
Yeah.
He's played 15 games and he's second on the team.
Yep, no accountability then. And it seems like he's picking and choosing when he wants to hold his guys accountable. So is he only holding Logan Cooley accountable? I'd be honest, I don't even remember what Logan Cooley did. I don't even remember what the penalty was. Because this team has taken a lot of crappy penalties, and he seems to have never held anybody else accountable other than Logan Cooley. And then in the press conference, he doesn't even give an explanation. I think his exact wording was, "I'll let you figure it out." When the reporter asked him, "Why did you sit Cooley?" "I'll let you figure it out." And then everybody defends him as, oh, he's doing the right thing as a coach and he's holding his guys accountable. No, but he's not holding everybody accountable. He's not doing that. So that's my soapbox. Coach, I very much disagree with a lot of things you do. And your inability to get the third line to figure their shit out is really frustrating, because unfortunately you don't have the bag of tricks to change lines every other day, which didn't work for you last time. Why the hell would it work for you this time? So you got to sit down with Bill Armstrong and decide, At this point in time, do you want to make a run at the playoffs now, or do you want to pack it in? Because I think if they don't make a trade before the deadline, what they've said is we're okay with where we are, we're not going to make the playoffs, and that's okay, and it's a development season. And that sucks. That really sucks, because I was really hoping if we missed the playoffs, it was going to be that we missed it by a game or two, not that we really phoned it in the second half of the season again. And that's what happened last year in Arizona. They competed for a playoff spot. Halfway through the season, it all falls apart, and they finished with 77 points. And are we heading that way again? Probably. And it sucks.
But there is a very quick way to turn this ship around. Next game is on the road at Calgary, who is one step above us in the standings. They are, let us see, 5 points ahead of us. They are the second. They are on the second wild card spot, exactly what we're fighting for if we want to get into the playoffs. And they are 5 points ahead of us. Both teams 37 games into the season. If you go there and you take 2 and hold them to none, you cut that lead from 5 to 3. I feel a lot happier, and we're a lot closer. And then we're only 5 points back of Dallas for that first wild card spot. Just like our hopes and dreams and how high we were on this team the last time we recorded, it can get flipped like that. And there are some winnable games coming up in the schedule, and it can flip just like that. Who knows? Maybe the third line, just something sparks. Maybe Bugstad is like, hey, I can hit the broadside of a barn. I can score goals. What we need is for you to say something bad publicly about Bugstad, because the last time you said something about Bugstad in our group chat, you said Bugstad can't hit the broadside of a barn, and then he went and scored 2 goals. So say bad things about Bugstad, and you're going to be the one to turn this third line around. I'm having a moment of clarity. I'm having an epiphany right now. The things that we say on this podcast happen in real life. We're like, what was that book that we read in elementary school, like The Indian in the Cupboard? What we do makes things happen. What we say makes things happen. So I need you to say something very public. Post a TikTok, something. Just trash Bugstad. Just tear him to pieces. And I guarantee he's going to score 5 goals over the next 4 games. Just, I figure I've solved it. I've just like, I'm hangover. I'm seeing all of the numbers flash before my eyes like I'm about to go to the casino, and I see all the answers. Like my third eye is open. Like all of my chakras are in line, and I see everything. We're the key to this team. This podcast is the key to this team and the key to the season. You know what you need to do, Randon. Now go out and make it happen.
Nick Bugstad, I'm coming for you, bud. Coming for you. And it includes teams that, unfortunately, we struggled with. San Jose, but teams we beat, the Islanders, the Rangers, Montreal, St. Louis, and we played Winnipeg tough, right? We also have Florida coming at home. Dustin, you're going to that game. You're 1-0. You're 1-0 when you go to games.
I'm going to the Florida game.
Yeah.
Wife was smart enough. Wife knew we win games when Dustin goes, so I'm taking him to the Florida game. So smart
it's guaranteed
wife.
At least there. Guaranteed there. So we could really be looking at an exciting January. Then we go back on a 3-game road trip, but then we end it at home against Pittsburgh, very reeling Pittsburgh team, and a Columbus team who I haven't even heard anything. I don't even know that they still had a team in Columbus. I literally thought the Blue Jackets were no longer a team. But here they are, and they're coming to Utah for the first time. So exciting. Now, the Minnesota, Winnipeg, Ottawa stretch, away games, that's not going to be fun. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe after me publicly calling out Bugstad, Krause, and the Finnish Phenom, maybe they turn it around and they become the greatest of the greats. So I'm sorry, but that's my job as potentially Nostradamus and shadow puppet podcaster that Dustin and I are. That it's our job to be cruel to you people, and we don't mean it to you as personally. We're not being personal about it. We're talking to you as professional hockey players, right? talking about this is, I'm going to sit you down in the office. I'm going to give you a performance improvement plan, right? You're not hitting key performance indicators, okay? You're not hitting those KPIs, and unfortunately, you are not meeting expectation. So let's talk about it, right? Let's form a game plan. Let's form a performance improvement plan. Let's set some reasonable, achievable goals. One goal is all I want. That's an achievable metric. Let's get out there and do it, guys. Let's get out there and do it.
I'm sorry. I'm losing my composure a bit right now, because you chose the Columbus Blue Jackets as the team to go on. Like, I didn't even know they still had a team. What are they? What are they doing? They are basically a mirror image of the Utah Hockey Club. Both teams have 38 points. Both teams have 16 wins. Both teams have 6 overtime losses. The only difference in these two teams and their record and points is the fact that Columbus has played one more game and they have one more loss. Columbus is 16, 16, and 6. Utah is 16, 15, and 6. They are the mirror image. They are the Eastern Conference Utah Hockey Club, and that is the one team that you decided in that whole schedule coming up that that you wanted to run down. And I wanted to see where they were in the standings, because, like you said, I completely forgot that Columbus even had a team. I don't know the last time I thought about the Columbus Blue Jackets. But they are Utah in the East, so take that for what you will. But yes, Columbus...
Surprisingly close goal differential as well. Only a few goals separate these two teams. So the Utah of the East or the Columbus of the West will meet to end the January, and that will really tell it. So what happened? Like, right? If we beat Columbus, we are a team of destiny. We're going to the playoffs. If we lose against Columbus, the whole season is forgotten, it's lost. Pack it in. Go for the number 1 draft, even though it's well out of the way. Chicago is just awful. I mean, truly worse than San Jose, in fact. Only just, but really, really bad. And we can't catch that level of horrendousness. But so we'll see. That's going to be the metric. That's going to be the metric, that one game in January. But hey, Dustin and I, we're going to be there with you, right? We're going to be chatting. We appreciate you guys to really make some noise. Hopefully with the holidays now, if you don't know, Dustin and I, we both have families. We're both family men, right? They don't pay us the big bucks yet to do this, to bring you guys this level of knowledge and insight. We just do it out of the goodness of our hearts because it's fun and we enjoy it. But we've had fun interacting with you guys. We're excited to continue to talk about you and to talk about this team with you, because we are all, win or lose, frustration or not, man, this inaugural season has been fun and it will continue to be fun.
So much fun.
And it's just going to be a great series of seasons until we win the inevitable cup. We will win the cup. It's only a matter of time, right? It took Vegas how many years?
Two or three? It was very quick.
But they went to the
They made
the
finals the first year, right?
Yeah, but then it was like 6 or 7 years before they made it.
Before they won it. Okay.
Yeah, and it took Seattle a couple years to even make the playoffs. So we're good. We're good, guys. We're in fine shape, tip-top shape. Clayton Keller, get well soon, buddy. Dustin, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I had one and it has slipped my mind, so I'm left final thoughtless.
Final thoughtless, and shadow puppeters are out to pull the strings. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Enjoy. Have a happy new year. Make 2025 the best year it can be. Nick Bukestad, score a gosh dang goal, sir. Score a goal. Good day.